Just a quick note before we start. I really want to improve my audience retention. If you think, hey, this is pretty good, give it a like and subscribe. If you're more like, not quite, drop me a comment and let me know what didn't work. All right, let's get into it. The glass in the back. There's a table in the back of the cafe I go to every morning. It's by the window. Nice lighting. Wooden chairs with chipped green paint. Kind of charming. In that worn-out way that feels intentional. Every day, it's empty, except for the glass of water. It's always the same. Clear glass, filled about halfway, no lemon, no straw. Condensation on the outside, like it's freshly poured. But no one's ever sitting there. Ever. I get in around 7:30 a.m., grab my to-go cup, glance back as I wait. That table, the one by the window, is always unoccupied. Yet that glass just sits there, like someone stepped away for a second. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe someone's on break. Maybe a barista sets it down and forgets. But this has been going on for weeks now. Every single morning. One day, I asked the girl behind the counter, "Hey, you guys holding that back table for someone?" She looked confused. "What table?" "The one by the window. There's always a water glass there." She blinked. "We don't preset tables." "Then who's drinking that?" "Weird." That's all she said before moving on. After that, I started watching it more closely. Sometimes the water level changes. One day it was nearly full. Another day, barely a third, but there's no one near it. No one picks it up. No one refills it. It's just there. Then last Tuesday, I got there early. Like, way too early. Couldn't sleep, figured I'd beat the crowd. When I walked in, the cafe was mostly dark, just a couple of lamps on. The floor had that freshly mopped smell. And that table? The chair was pushed back, angled like someone had just stood up. And the glass? It was still wet, beads of water sliding down the side, like it had just been touched. I stood there a long minute before ordering. Didn't say anything, didn't ask. After that, things started feeling closer. The next morning I sat one table over. No big deal, just curious. Midway through my coffee, I noticed my cup had been moved. Maybe a few inches to the left. Not much, but I'm the only one who touched it. I always set it on the right. I'm right-handed. This wasn't me. That same day, I watched someone go up to the table with the water. He hesitated, then pulled the chair out. As he went to sit, his hand brushed the glass. He recoiled, like it shocked him, looked at his fingers like they burned, then walked away without saying a word. He didn't finish his coffee, just left it on the counter and left. Now, maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe he was twitchy. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But then came today. I sat across from the glass, made a point of it. No phone, no book. Just me, facing the window. 10 minutes in, the chair across from me moved. No one touched it. It slid a half inch toward the table, like someone was adjusting it before sitting down. And then the condensation on the glass shifted, ran like a finger had just traced down it. I left, didn't finish my drink, didn't say goodbye. As I pushed the door open, I glanced back. The glass was closer to my cup now. Tomorrow, I'm not going back, but I know that the glass will still be there. And it'll be fuller than before, because I left mine behind. The roommate by the door. I only went home for the weekend. 3 days. That's it. Left Friday morning, came back Sunday night. Wasn't even a surprise trip. I told my roommate, Caleb, the day before. Heading back to Houston to see my folks, I said, tossing laundry into a bag. Back Sunday. He gave me a thumbs up without looking up from his laptop. Totally normal. Or it was, until I unlocked the front door late Sunday evening. He was standing there, right in front of the door, inside the apartment, facing it, like he'd been waiting. His arms hung at his sides. No shoes, no expression. Just standing there. I blinked. Dude? He didn't move. I squeezed past him with my bag. You good? Still nothing. I thought maybe he was messing with me. Some weird joke. So I tossed my bag on the couch and waited for the punchline. It didn't come. He didn't follow me. Didn't turn around. Just stood there, face inches from the door. After a few minutes of awkward silence, I said, I'm gonna, order food. You want anything? No answer. I left him there. Next morning, he was still there. Same position. Same clothes. I checked the fridge, untouched. His water bottle on the counter was half empty, though. At least he was drinking. I worked from home that Monday. Every couple hours, I'd glance over. Still standing. By Tuesday, I stopped pretending it was a joke. I thought about calling someone. His parents? A doctor? But what do you even say? My roommate's vertical and unblinking. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't muttering to himself. He wasn't doing anything at all. Just standing. I left for a while, drove around, got groceries, tried to reset my own nerves. When I got back, he was still there. His water bottle was empty now. I refilled it and set it on the floor next to him. A couple hours later, it was half gone again. So he was doing something. Wednesday morning, I cracked. I stood behind him. Not too close. Caleb, I said, calm but firm. What are you doing? Silence. I stepped to the side, trying to catch his eye. You okay? Nothing. Then, as I turned away, he whispered, soft and raspy. Where were you? I froze. He hadn't spoken in 3 days. I turned to face him again. What? He didn't repeat it, just stared at the door. Behind him, on the wall, I noticed something. 3 long marks, deep, jagged scratches running down the paint. Parallel, like someone had dragged their nails hard enough to leave grooves. I hadn't seen those before. That night I slept on the couch. Thursday morning, he was gone. Not out of the apartment, just not standing by the door anymore. His bedroom door was closed. When I checked inside, he was asleep. On top of the covers, fully dressed. I didn't ask him about it, and he didn't offer an explanation. He went back to normal, eating, showering, watching shows, like nothing happened. But those scratches on the wall, they're still there. And every now and then, when I come home late, I find him standing there again, just for a few seconds, just facing the door, waiting. The voice next door. The first night I noticed the crying. I figured it was just a baby. Old apartment buildings like mine aren't exactly known for soundproofing. Pipes rattle, heaters clank, neighbors sneeze, and you can hear it like they're in the room with you. So crying? Whatever. Someone must have moved in next door. It was soft at first, a few whimpers around 2 a.m., maybe 3. Not frantic, just fussy. I rolled over, put a pillow over my head, and forgot about it by morning. Second night, same time. A little louder. I even laughed a little. Welcome to New York, I muttered, dragging myself out of bed for water. But the third night is when things got weird. Because it wasn't just crying anymore. It was syllables. tiny, trembling sounds, like a baby trying to mimic adult words. Something close to ma or ne. Still could have been nothing, right? Babies babble. But something about it felt wrong. The pacing, the pauses, like it wasn't random. By the end of the week, the crying had shape. Ah-tuh. I sat up in bed when I heard it. It came through the wall, clearer than before. Ah-tuh. Kochi. I didn't sleep that night. Next morning, I caught the super in the hallway. Hey, someone move in next door? I asked, nodding to 5C. He frowned. Nope, that place is empty. Has been for months. Leaky ceiling. I tried to laugh it off, but my voice cracked. You sure? Pretty sure. I'm the one that checks for squatters. I didn't press further. That night, I stayed up. Didn't turn on lights. Just sat on the floor by the shared wall. At 2:13 a.m., right on schedule, the crying started. But it wasn't crying anymore. It was speech. Open. I swear to God, that's what it said. Look here. Software urgent. Coming through the plaster like breath. I bolted. Left the apartment, went down to the bodega on the corner, and wandered until the sun came up. Back home, I pressed my ear to the wall. Silence. For a few nights, nothing happened. Then, just when I let my guard down, it came back. Only this time, it was closer. No longer muffled like it was behind a wall. The voice felt like it was inside the room with me. And it knew. You hear me now. My lights flickered. I didn't move. Couldn't. My whole body locked in place, like I'd stepped into freezing water. I come tonight. Then silence. Total, suffocating silence. I haven't slept since, and tonight is the night. I don't know what's going to happen, but I haven't touched the wall since. I don't go near that side of the apartment, because I think if I do, I'll feel breath on my neck, and I'll hear it again, saying something new. My name. The other name on the schedule. Every week the schedule went up on the break room corkboard. It wasn't fancy. Just a printed spreadsheet, pinned beside the outdated fire drill instructions, and a faded poster about respectful workplace behavior. But every Friday afternoon, like clockwork, someone taped the new sheet there. And every week, under mine, was the same name. D.G. All caps. No last name. No nickname. Just Dag. At first, I didn't think much of it. Figured it was someone from the night shift I never saw. But after a couple months, I started asking around. Hey, do you know who Dag is? Alex from Produce shrugged. Yeah, they've been around forever. You've worked here like 6 weeks. Yeah, well, that's what the others say. So I asked the others. Same thing. Been here a long time. Kinda private. Keeps to themselves. No one had ever actually worked with DAG, but somehow the name was always there. They were always scheduled, usually right after me, or overlapping by an hour. Yet I never once saw them clock in. Never saw their name on the locker. Never heard their voice on the walkies. I figured maybe it was some kind of management error. An old employee, still on the payroll by mistake. You'd be surprised how sloppy some stores are. Then I checked the time clock. Their badge number? Active. Punch-in times? Perfectly aligned. Every shift, down to the minute. Like someone was following the schedule exactly. Only thing is, no one had ever seen them badge in. So I decided to stay late. I worked the 2 to 10 shift on a Thursday. Dag was listed for 10 to close. I told the supervisor I'd lock up for her and waved her off. At 10:01 p.m., the backroom lights flickered. Not in a spooky horror movie way. Just a normal, dumb, fluorescent flicker. But it made me glance up. The loading bay door was closed. No trucks were scheduled. Then I heard it. The soft shuffle of shoes on linoleum. Coming from the break room. I moved quietly toward the sound. The lights were on. I hadn't left them on. And on the bench, near the lockers, sat a folded uniform shirt. Same as mine. Same size. Same store patch. It was damp. Not soaked, just slightly warm and humid, like it had been taken off a body 5 minutes ago. Next to it was a name tag. Dag! Still beaded with moisture, like breath had touched it. I stepped back. The walkie on my hip crackled. Just a little hiss of static. No voice. No call. I didn't sleep much that night. Next day, the schedule was up again. DAG was still there. Same shift, same hours. I mentioned it to the assistant manager. He blinked. Yeah, they're still around. Reliable too. Never missed a shift. Have you met them? He paused. Maybe once. Long time ago. I tried to press. What do they look like? But he just laughed nervously and changed the subject. Last night I opened my locker and found 2 uniforms. Both were mine. Same size, same scent, same placement. But one of them was damp. The bed beside mine. I was backpacking through the East Coast, trying to keep things cheap. That meant shared rooms, bunk beds, and earplugs. The place in D.C. was a 6-bed dorm. Nothing fancy. Metal frames, chipped paint, one window that didn't open all the way. But it was clean, and it had a lock on the door. Good enough. I got there late, just before 11 p.m. Checked in, grabbed my bag, and found my assigned bunk. Bottom, back left. Lucky me. There was a guy already in the bed beside mine, sitting up, reading something by the glow of his phone. We made brief eye contact. He gave me a small nod. Hey, I said low. Didn't want to wake the others. He nodded again. You just get in? Yeah, long bus ride. He smiled, polite but tired. Been there. That was it. I crawled into bed, shoved my backpack under the frame, and passed out within minutes. I woke up around 7 to the sound of someone zipping a suitcase. The guy in the next bed was sitting on the edge, pulling on his shoes. Same posture, same clothes, different face. At first, I thought I was groggy, misremembering. Maybe it was someone else all along. But I remembered the guy from the night before. Slim, short beard, glasses. This guy had none of that. Clean-shaven, taller, broader shoulders. And when I muttered, "Morning," he didn't respond. I watched him leave, then went down to the front desk. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual. Who was in bed 5 last night? The receptionist looked at the screen. No one. That bed's booked for today, starting at 3 p.m. I blinked, but someone was there last night. We talked. He shrugged. Maybe a mix-up? Maybe. That night, a new guest arrived. Different guy. Late 20s, introduced himself as Mike. We chat a bit before lights out. He climbed into the same bed. In the morning, it wasn't Mike. It was a woman. Maybe mid-30s. Reading a paperback like nothing was off. I asked, "Did someone else sleep there last night?" She looked up. What? That bed. You're in bed 5, right? Yeah. But you weren't here last night. She tilted her head. I checked in yesterday afternoon. I went to the front desk again. The staffer was different. She told me kindly that bed 5 had been unoccupied until this morning. I didn't know what to say. I stayed 2 more nights. Each night, someone new said hello. Each morning, someone else woke up in the same spot. No luggage changed. No bedding moved. Just different people. Faces that didn't match voices from the night before. By the 5th morning, I didn't even bother asking. I left before sunrise. Didn't even check out. Just walked away. But sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I hear a voice say, "Hey, you just get in?" And I still can't remember which face it belonged to. The cat she mentioned. The first time I met my neighbor, she apologized. "Sorry if my cat keeps you up," she said, keys jangling as she unlocked her door. "She gets restless at night." "No problem," I replied. I hadn't heard anything. She was maybe in her early 50s, wore big sunglasses, even indoors, and had a strange way of talking, like she was always slightly distracted. Her apartment was right next to mine. Identical layouts, same thin walls. So yeah, if there was a cat yowling at 2 a.m., I'd hear it. But I never did. Not once. No scratching, no meowing, no scampering paws across hardwood floors. Nothing. Still, I didn't think much of it. People have quiet cats. Or maybe she exaggerated. Then one morning, I noticed something odd. Just outside my door, faint little wet marks on the tile. Like paw prints. Small. Maybe the size of a kiwi. They led from the wall across the hallway and stopped right at my welcome mat. I crouched to look closer. The prints were damp. Not muddy, not dirty. Just wet and perfectly shaped. 4 pads and a heel. I looked around. The hallway was clean. No leaks, no open windows. It hadn't rained. That was the first time. It kept happening. Every few nights, I'd wake up, open the door in the morning, and there they'd be again. Fresh, wet paw prints, always leading toward my door, never away. But still no cat. I brought it up with her once, a few weeks later, when we passed each other by the mailboxes. "Your cat's pretty stealthy," I joked. She paused. "What do you mean?" "I see her prints sometimes, but I've never actually seen her." She tilted her head. "Oh, she's shy." That was it. No further comment, no smile. Just turned and left. The weirdest part? A few days later, she left town. I saw her hauling 2 suitcases to the elevator. She caught me looking and said, "Going away for a bit. Apartment's empty. Don't worry." "Taking the cat with you?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "Always." That night, I heard a soft thump outside my door. In the morning, fresh paw prints. Even clearer this time. Damp enough that one of them smeared slightly, like something had slipped or turned. No way she was still in the unit. I knocked. No answer. The lights were off. The prints kept coming for a week straight. One night I stayed up, left my lights off, sat by the peephole with a glass of water and too much caffeine. Nothing for hours. But just before dawn, I saw it. Not a cat. A shape. Low to the ground. Pale. Slippery. It crawled across the hallway, fluid and slow, and stopped at my door. It didn't look up, didn't sniff. Just pressed something. Something like a hand, but too small and too narrow, against the base of the door. And then it vanished. I haven't told anyone, but the prints are still showing up, even now that she's moved out. The cough outside the stall. I didn't notice it the first few times. It's a dorm bathroom. Shared. Grimy. Half the stalls don't even lock. Someone coughing outside the stall? Not exactly newsworthy. But then, it started happening every night. always between 1:30 and 2 a.m. A single cough, short, dry, like someone clearing their throat quietly, politely. Not a hacking fit, not sick, just that one tiny sound. The first time I really noticed it, I chalked it up to coincidence. Maybe someone else was in the bathroom. Maybe I was just tired. Sleep-deprived brains make stuff up all the time, right? But I started listening for it, and it always came. I'd step into the stall, sit down, wait, cough. Software from the same spot, right outside my stall door, every time. I started experimenting, going in at different times. 1 a.m., no cough. 2:30, nothing. But hit that 1:45-ish sweet spot, and boom, there it was. I told my roommate, Matt. He laughed. Congrats, you got yourself a ghost with manners. I asked around casually. A couple people shrugged. One guy said he heard weird stuff in the showers sometimes, but no one else mentioned the cough. Until I brought it up to Nate, a senior. He stopped chewing his sandwich mid-bite. Where'd you say you heard it? 3rd floor bathroom, back stall. He stared at me. That's the one near the fire exit, right? Yeah? He swallowed. My freshman year, someone had a seizure in that stall. Middle of the night. No one found him until morning. I blinked. Was he okay? He nodded slowly. Yeah, but he said he kept calling for help, and all he heard was someone coughing outside the door, like they were waiting. Said it happened 3 nights in a row after that. Then it just stopped. Except now it hadn't, because it was happening to me. One night, I brought my phone in, hit record, sat in the stall, waited, cough. When I played it back, there was no sound. None. Just me, breathing. Another night, I opened the door immediately after the cough. No one, not even footsteps. And then the dream started. I'd be in the dorm bathroom, except the stalls stretched on forever. A maze. Endless white tiles and dim lights. I'd hear the cough, distant at first, then closer. Then closer. And when I finally found the right stall and opened the door, there was never anyone there. Just a cough echoing behind me again. One night, I didn't go in. 1:45 a.m., I stayed in bed, pulled the blanket over my head, closed my eyes, and I heard it. The cough. Not from the hallway, not from the bathroom, from right outside my dorm room door. I haven't used that stall since, but every night at the same time, I hear it. Cough. Closer now. I don't think it's waiting outside the stall anymore. The folded pajamas. At first, I thought it was just a mistake. I live in a shared house with 3 other people. One of those weird post-college situations where none of us really knew each other at the start. We all have our own rooms, but the kitchen and laundry are communal. So when I woke up one morning and found a pair of folded pajamas at the foot of my bed, I assumed someone had left their stuff in the dryer and accidentally mixed it in with mine. Except, I never put my laundry in that week. And the pajamas? They weren't mine. Too small, too soft, and they smelled like lavender and something older. Not musty, but familiar. Like something I'd smelled before, but couldn't place right away. I brought them into the kitchen, held them up, and asked, "Do these belong to anyone?" Everyone shook their heads. Emma thought they looked vintage. Jake joked that maybe a ghost grandma was doing my laundry. We laughed. I tossed them in the hall closet, figuring someone would claim them eventually. Next morning they were back. Same spot. Same neat fold. On my bed this time, resting gently on top of my blanket. I hadn't locked my door, so I figured maybe someone was screwing with me, trying to be funny. I confronted the house. Okay, who's folding ghost pajamas and putting them on my bed? More shrugs, more laughter. That night I locked my door. Morning. Pajamas folded at the foot of the bed. And that's when I realized what they looked like. My grandmother had a pair almost exactly like them. Soft pastel pattern, little pink flowers, old-fashioned collar. I hadn't thought about those in years. She died when I was 13, and she used to fold my clothes just like that. Tucked sleeves, single crease down the center. The night after I remembered that, I dreamt of her. She didn't say anything, just stood at the end of my bed, watching me sleep. The pajamas were folded in her hands. I woke up with tears in my eyes. A week passed. Every night I locked my door. Every morning the pajamas returned. No one ever heard anything. No one saw anything. One night, I stayed up. Just lay there in the dark, listening. Around 3:17 a.m., I felt pressure on the edge of the mattress, like someone had gently sat down. Then, the faintest touch on my shoulder. Light. Careful. The way someone might wake a child who'd fallen asleep in the wrong bed. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Eventually the pressure lifted. The room went still. In the morning, the pajamas were folded beside me. I checked the closet. The original pair was still there. Now there were 2. Next night, 3. Different patterns. All old-fashioned. All just my size. All with the same scent. I stopped asking the others. Stopped locking my door. Now, I just wait. And every morning I wake to find a new pair, folded with care. Sometimes I think I see her in the hallway mirror, just for a second, smiling, like she's proud of me for staying tidy. The voice in the water. I rented a cabin out in Oregon, one of those disconnect from the world type deals. No service, no Wi-Fi, just trees, birds, and a well-stocked bookshelf. I needed it. Life had been a little too loud lately. The place was nice, small but cozy. 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, wood-burning stove. There was a creek out back you could hear through the windows if you left them cracked. The first 2 days were peaceful. I read, took long naps, made dumb sketches in my journal. Didn't look at my phone once. Then came the 3rd night. I was in the shower, warm water pouring down, when I thought I heard someone say my name. At first I thought I imagined it, just the way water echoes in tile. But then it came again. Come here. Software female. Close. I froze. Pulled back the curtain. No one. Shut off the water. Waited. Nothing. I figured maybe I was tired. The cabin had been dead silent otherwise, probably just my brain filling the quiet. But the next night, it happened again. Same voice, same words. Only this time, she said my name. And it wasn't just anyone's voice. It sounded like someone I knew. Someone who should never have known where I was. I turned off the shower midstream, heart hammering. The voice didn't stop right away. It lingered, just a little longer than it should have. Like it was still trying to echo off the tiles after the water had stopped. I dried off fast, threw on clothes, and checked the cabin. Doors locked, no sign of anything outside. But the creek? It sounded louder, like something was moving through it. Next morning I told myself I imagined it. Sleep deprivation, cabin fever, whatever. But that night the voice changed. It was no longer soft. It was closer, firmer. Let me in. That's what it said. I didn't finish showering. Didn't sleep. I lay in bed with a blanket pulled up to my chin, staring at the door to the bathroom. Nothing happened. Until around 3 a.m., when the shower turned on by itself. I didn't move, just listened. Water running. Then the voice. Come here. Clearer this time. No echo, no confusion. It was standing in the bathroom. I waited for the water to stop on its own. It didn't. Eventually I had to get up. I opened the door slowly. Steam poured out. The room was empty. But the mirror. Someone had drawn a handprint in the fog. Not pressed it. Drawn it. 5 streaks, each too thin and too long to be human. I left the next morning. Didn't pack. Just threw my bag in the car and drove until I had signal again. Later, I tried telling someone. A friend. I said, "It sounded like her." She asked, "Who?" I couldn't answer because I didn't know. But whoever she is, she knows my name and she still wants me to come back. The turning doorknob. I live in a creaky old 2-story house in New Jersey. You know the kind. Drafty windows, uneven floors, stairs that moan when you look at them wrong. But rent's cheap, and I'm used to the noise. What I'm not used to is my front door acting like it has a mind of its own. Every night, I lock the door before bed. I'm obsessive about it. Turn the knob, hear the click, double check. It's a ritual. But a few weeks ago, I started noticing something strange. Each morning the doorknob seemed different. At first, it was subtle. Just turned a little off-center. Not quite the position I left it in. I figured maybe it was the old spring in the latch. Then, I started laying down a strip of tape across the top edge of the knob to the door. Just a little marker. Next morning, torn clean. I told myself I must have bumped it. Maybe the wood shifted overnight. Houses settle. But I couldn't let it go. So I got more precise. I laid out a section of newspaper just inside the door, flush against the bottom. Next morning, 1 sheet missing. Like it had been pulled underneath. That's when I started staying up. Not all night. Just long enough to hear anything. I sat on the couch with a blanket, TV off, lights low. Nothing. No creaks, no footsteps. But when I checked the door in the morning, the knob had moved again. I dusted the knob with flour one night. Just a light coat, barely visible. Next morning there was a smudge. Not just any smudge. 5 thin streaks. Like fingers. Not fingerprints. Streaks. As if someone had slowly closed their hand around it, then let go. I took a picture. Then I wiped it clean, dusted again. It kept happening. Some nights I heard a faint metallic click, like tension being released, but whenever I opened the door, no one was there. The porch was empty. The neighborhood quiet. One night, I put a glass of water on the floor behind the door. Next morning, the water was gone. Glass still upright. It's like something was testing. Trying the knob. Not forcing it. Just waiting. I talked to my landlord. He said no one's ever had break-ins, no strange reports, but he did mention, casually, that the last tenant broke their lease early. Didn't say why, just packed up one night and left. Last night, I tied a string from the knob to my wrist. I figured if it turned, I'd wake up. I woke up at 3:12 a.m. from the feeling of the string pulling tight. But the door didn't open. The knob turned, then stopped, then turned back, like someone was reconsidering. This morning, the newspaper was gone. Not pulled. Gone. No torn edges. Just missing. And written in the flower on the knob were 3 letters. Soon. Tonight I'm sleeping with the lights on. But I don't think that's going to stop it. If you made it to the end, you're officially a legend. Seriously, thank you so much. If you didn't fall asleep, hit that like button and subscribe. See you in the next video.